Hello everybody! In this video we're going to be writing a variation on the mults function from Unit 1, and I have a skeleton of a function here with a kind of a small comment about what we want it to do. So for this function what we want to do is as input we're going to have a natural number n, and as output we're going to have a vector that has multiples of 5 starting at 0, and it's going to go 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on until we get to a number that's less than or equal to n. So what this should remind you of is if we remember the colon command, so this should make you think of something like 0, start at 0, go up by 5, don't go past n. In this case, we're in the command window and n is not defined, but if n was 100, for instance, we can see here, we'd start at 0, go up by 5, don't go past 100. So we're going to do the same thing just using a while loop, so this is going to be good practice. Again, we introduced while loops in the previous video, so if you haven't used them before or seen them before, go watch that video first. Otherwise, let's think about how to write this function using a while loop instead of the colon command. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start by initializing a vector to start at 0. So I know I want all of these vectors to start at 0. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to say while, or maybe the first thing I'm going to show you is a very natural idea for this writing this function that's going to have a little bit of a mistake. Then we're going to see what the mistake is and we're going to correct it. So let's say while, and we want the last element of this vector to be less than or equal to n. So as a reminder, we can get the last element of a vector by typing v of n. And while this is less than or equal to n, then we want to build the vector. So we're going to say v equals, keep everything the same, just add on v of n plus 5. So this is how we're going to get the multiples of 5. So we're going to start at 0, and we can see 0, as long as that's less than or equal to n, we're going to say v is equal to 0, comma, then the last element here is 0, 0 plus 5. So it becomes 0, comma 5. Let's end our while loop. Now, this is looking pretty good. You're going to see in a moment that there is a mistake here, but let's save it and run it and see what happens. So remember, 0, 5, 100 gives us this. Let's try mults 5 of 100. So we can see here, this is very close to being correct, but instead of stopping at 100, it goes to 105. So again, very, very close to what we want, but somehow we're getting this extra term. So let's go to our function and see what's going on here. So imagine now that we're in the case where we get to 100. So remember, in this case, we're calling mults 5 of 100. So now the 100th element is less, so when v of n is 100, that's less than or equal to 100. So then we go into the while loop, and we say v comma, so it's going to stay the same. Now v of the n, which is 100 plus 5, so we get 105. So the issue is that 100 less than or equal to 100, so we enter the while loop again. So one way that we can fix this, there's a very simple fix, is we look at v of n and we say if I add 5 to it, is it still less than or equal to n? And this looks pretty good, so let's save it, go back to our function and try it out. So now we can try mults 5 of 100, and we see we go up to 100 but not past it. Let's try mults 5 of 50. We go up to 50 but don't pass it. We could do mults 5 of 49, and we can see we end at 45. We could do mults 5 of 49.5. and we can see we go up to 45 but don't pass it. So this is working pretty well. Like I said, this is just another way of kind of writing what the colon command does. One advantage of this though is that if we're using the colon command and we want to have strictly less than n, we would need to think a little bit more about it and do a little bit more work. But here, if I just want to say strictly less than n, all I have to do is remove that equal sign. Now what we can do is if I do mults 5 of 100, you can see I go up to 99 or 95, don't go to 100. I could do mults 5, 49.5, it's going to go to 45. So just a benefit of using this while loop is it's very easy to just remove the equality and get strictly less than n. So I think this is a good place to stop this video. In the next video, we're going to see an example of an infinite loop. So when you kind of get stuck in a while loop forever and how to get out of it. Otherwise, I will see you there, and thank you for watching.